Good morning. It's Tuesday morning. It's 10:40 here in Tampa, Florida. At 9 o'clock this morning, I was at Courthouse 1 and at downtown and Twigs there, and I had the opportunity to witness something that was very special to me. Today's blog is not about me at all. It's about my brother Bob, who was sworn in as Hillsborough County property appraiser, which he won the election this year. And he was sworn in today. And just to let you guys know just how emotional, how special it was, they do all the things they normally do when they swear somebody in. And what happened was, after the whole thing, my brother had made his acceptance speech, which I'm going to show you on a video here. They have guards there, sheriffs around, which work there at the courthouse, and their job is to keep things in order. And one of them actually came up to me and with tears in his eyes and said, "That speech really moved me, man." And he wasn't the only one. We all looked around the room, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room, including myself. And it's great to know that the good guys can win now and then. So today's blog is not anything about me. It's about my brother. It's about my family. And it's about things that you can achieve if you truly believe.
Very, very exciting day for all of us. I was extremely honored when Bob and Carrie asked me to, number one, perform the oath of loyalty for the office of property appraiser today, and more importantly, the opportunity to give you a few comments about Bob and about who he is and where he comes from. And before I get started with that, however, I'd like to take a few minutes just to introduce some people that were very important in Bob's life, and really in most of our lives, for those of us that are involved here in the system of politics, here in the system of serving our community. And I'd like to start with our good friend, our mayor, Bob Buckhorn. And someone that we all know very, very well, my good friend, and my cohort up in Tallahassee here starting next week already, and that is Representative Janet Cruz. And sitting next to her is someone that is well known to all of us, and that is the person who always helps us behind the scenes to really achieve our dreams and our goals, and that is Anna Cruz. Someone that we've known for a significant number of years and who served our community well, the former big Jim Selby as the former county commissioner. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support, protect, and defend.
I will support, protect, and defend.
The Constitution and government.
The Constitution and government.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And of the state of Florida.
And of the state of Florida.
That I am duly qualified.
That I am duly qualified.
To hold office.
To hold office.
Under the Constitution.
Under the Constitution.
Of the state.
Of the state.
And that I will well.
And I will well.
And faithfully perform.
And faithfully perform.
The duties.
The duties.
Of county property appraiser.
Of county property appraiser.
On which I am now about to enter.
On which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen.
tearing up a lot. It's really the pollen. So, and if you could do something about that, the sun shines good with this oak pollen. So, thank you, Julie, our public defender, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, Representative, and all of you for being here. It's interesting. I sit there and I listen. You know, I've been to a million of these different kinds of events over the years, it seems like, and when you sit back and you hear folks speak about someone else, and you sit back and wow, what must it be like to have somebody tell your life story and speak so glowingly about you? And I've never really had that happen until today, so it's kind of interesting. But I feel like the only 48. That's pretty good. So, not so bad. I really, honestly, I sat down 4 or 5 different times to put something on paper for this morning, and then I just thought I was just going to come and shoot from the heart. That's really where I'm best. And if I get a little choked up, I'm not going to apologize for that. Carrie, my wife, thank you. It was a 5-month sprint to the finish. It's a roller coaster ride whenever you run for office, and this was an incredible ride, and you were there all the way along, and you know, had my back, and talked to my staff, I think more than anybody else, and had a lot of fun with those guys, and kept them in mind. Pamela, thank you for being here. You produced a wonderful daughter, and I'm blessed to be her husband. My brother, I can't even say anything about that. Don't get me started, right? And for everybody who's here, people that worked on the campaign, Brian, Mariana, I mean, they're all throughout the crowd. The old guard from the office, you know, it's funny, they for years and years used to always tell me, you should work for property appraiser. And I said, well, I'm not by trade a property appraiser, although as of today I'll be playing one on TV. But I came to realize that they were asking for different reasons. This is an important office. This is a critically important office, as we all know. And I have sort of a kindred spirit with it, going way back to when my brother worked there for many, many years. I worked there one summer. Don't tell me, but I think we worked there at the same time, so it was probably nepotism, I don't know. And so I know a lot of folks that have been there for many years, many people are still there. The office has done remarkable work, and I honor the service of Mr. Turner. 16 years in office. He recreated that office when he came in under very difficult circumstances, and it has been a very well-run office for many, many years. And we plan to build on the successes he's had and to honor his service in every way. But as we move forward, there's a new captain on the ship. And I look forward to working with the staff. I look forward to making that office, as we said during the campaign, to rethink, reinvent, and reinvigorate the office. And we're going to do that from top to bottom, but in a way that there's a shared vision. As Julie said, I'm not the type of person to come in and impose my will on folks. Although when I used to drive by people, I used to impose my will, but I can't quite do that anymore. But we're going to have fun with that. But let me talk a little bit just personally for everyone that's in this room, because I see so many faces that are part of my life, that are so much of a part of who I am, and just tell you a little bit about, you know, where I come from and what I'm about, because I think that's really what I want to leave you with today, and not so much some political speak. I was raised, my father, as Julie said, my father and mother were, well, actually, I'm a product of a mixed marriage. I've said this a few times. My mother's from Ybor City, my father's from West Tampa. So, those of you that are natives understand what I mean. Crossing the river was a big deal back in those days. But very humble beginnings. My father was a house painter, hard-working man. This may sound a little bit funny or sexist, but he was a man's man. He was a combination of, I don't know, Archie Bunker and, I don't even know. But interesting, but he was everybody's father. He was everybody's dad. Everybody that ever met him would gravitate to him. Everybody wanted him to be their dad. He was one of those kinds of guys. But he was real. He was an original. He was what you saw is what you he got. And he would get away with things that nobody else in the world would get away with. I mean, these days you can't, oh, hon, sweetie, when he would get away with it. They thought it was a cool deal if anybody else would be offended. But he couldn't offend you. He was, just one of those guys who's bigger than life. And my mother was just she was everybody's mom. And people gravitated to our house. It was always full of people, full of love. And I was asked one time during my first campaign, we were sitting, it was late at night, and John Henriquez was working on my campaign at the time, ended up being my legislative assistant. We were just talking back and forth. I think he was just trying to get to know me a little bit better. And he said, well, what if you could say one thing in your life that meant more than anything else that helped formulate who you are? And it was kind of a strange question at first. And I said, well, John, I don't know how this fits, but let me just tell you that our kitchen table meant more than anything else in my life. And he said, what do you mean by that? I said, I don't know. It was just emblematic of our entire life. I mean, just everything seemed to happen around that kitchen table. If you've ever seen the movie Moonstruck with Cher, there's a great scene in there where she wants to talk to their father about something important, and he says, let's go to the kitchen table. And it just seemed like everything happened around the table. We laughed and we cried. We would do homework, fight like cats and dogs. Our cat once had kittens on the table. Jumped up right at the end of dinner, and my dad had created this perfect little nest back in the utility room. No, she had to have them right there in front of everybody. And we called the neighbors. We called my brother. We called everybody. Like, Ming's having the kittens. Come on over. It was a big celebration. And it was emblematic. There were good times. And there was lots of stuff and bounty on that table, and lots of Noche Buenas on that table. And there were times that there was not so much. But what I can tell you is that there was a time when each and every day that my father would come home covered in paint and go and take a shower, and my mother would put a meal on the table, and we would stop. Everything would stop. We may not be wearing shirts, but we stopped. TV went off, and we communicated. And I said, John, I think that's maybe what we're lacking, that's what we're missing today, is that people don't take that time out to communicate. Everybody's ripping and running, and two-job families, if there are, if there are two current families, they're both working two jobs. And you just want to get home, and you're tired, and throw something in the microwave, eat at different times, go to your room, play video games, get out of our hair for a while. A lot of that stuff that goes on now. And I said, I think that maybe if we could just bring the kitchen table to people's lives, maybe once a week, maybe that would make a big difference. So John, of course, thinking politically, is like, that's beautiful. You got to use that. I'm like, John, this is something personal. I'm not going to tell that. So I related that story a long time later, coincidentally, after I was elected in Washington at a think tank that I was meeting with some guys. And like 2 days later, I'm getting out of the shower, and Dick Gephardt, who was the speaker at the time, is speaking, and he says, what we need is a kitchen table back in the closet. And he stole it. But you hear about a kitchen table all the time now. It wasn't our kitchen table, I can say that. And I think that probably formulated has much to do with who I am and what I'm about. It was important for me, and it is important for me to give back. No one does anything in this life alone. And whether it be Tech Catholic High School, Princeton University, I still maintain I had a Z at the end of my name and can knock people down effectively, which helped a lot. But somehow they let me in and let me out. But it's so important to understand, to give back to the community and the people that have, and the institutions that have provided opportunities to you. And that's why there was never a question. I always wanted to go away to school, I'll be honest with you. I always wanted to experience. I don't know why I wanted to experience snow, but I did. I wonder if you guys the first time I'm in the huddle in this freezing rain, and something bouncing off my helmet. I keep hearing the sound. This guy named Jay Fitzgibbons from Boston. I'm like, Jay, how's that sound? He says, it's freezing rain, you idiot. I'm like, how am I supposed to know? I'm Florida. So we're supposed to play this? They call the game, right? But there was no question I was going to come back. And I wanted to be back in this community. And I've been blessed by this community. I continue to be blessed by this community. And people talk about what I've done as a coach at Tampa Catholic, what I've done and what I've accomplished. I've taken back more than I've given. And I will continue to give and try to reach the point so I feel like I've given more, which I don't think is possible. Those kids that I've coached, yeah, I'll miss them. And don't think that Friday night I might not sneak in the press box, you know. But of course, I do like the idea of not coaching because I'll never call another bad play. See, now I can just be on the sidelines and be one of those guys that, oh, you know, well, I don't know why he's doing that, you know. Stupid call, coach. No, those guys. But I want from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for this opportunity. And you know, you always hear that, well, I thank you for this opportunity, I'm not going to let you down. I can't promise you that I'm going to be the best property appraiser in the history of Hillsborough County, but God knows I'm going to try. And I'm going to put together a great team. I have a great team in place. And we're going to work extremely hard to build on the success of the past and harness the opportunities of the future to make this office the very best in the country, not just in Florida. And I will strive each and every day to be a good leader for that office. One of the things I have had an opportunity to interview young classifieds in the office and talk to a lot of folks. And it's really funny. It's like, we need to be a rock star if you just go around and pat somebody in the back once in a while. Well, I promise you, that's what I know. If I was a player's coach, then I'm going to be a property appraiser, that's going to be the workers' property appraiser. Not so many years ago, it seems, in this very spot when the old Edgecombe building was here. I was just a worker bee in the planning department. Kevin years here, we worked together. It's kind of interesting. We were with the planning commission, then we went to work for neighborhood management, and it's great. So we got a promotion, and here I am in the Edgecombe building, and I'm working there a couple of days, and all of a sudden this guy comes in with like a hazmat suit on, starts setting stuff up around my office. What's going on? Well, this is a sick building, and the lady who was in here before is like in the hospital with some kind of. This is great. So, but then we moved to the county center, which was on some balance. So it's just interesting. It's almost in a way like coming home, getting back to the county center. And I look forward to the opportunity. I look forward to serving this community, continuing to serve this community. And I just thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And I just want to relate one last story, and I have to end with my parents. If I could do it. And it's funny because we have some electeds here, and they probably understand this, and if they don't, they should. You make a difference in your life and the community in ways that you don't even know. And sure, we'll turn in tax rolls that will be approved by DOR, and we're going to make sure we have the best processes that we can and great customer service. And that will be judged by that. But I can tell you the story that my last week in office, or last session in office, they started a thing up in Tallahassee where we give these going away speeches. And which is kind of a neat deal. And I may have related this during the speech, I don't remember. But that last year before I went up, our father passed away a few years before, a couple years before. And so we have our delegation meeting, and I got up to powder my nose, I guess, and stepped out of the delegation meeting. Was at Moffitt, and this lady comes running out of the meeting, and she said, "Representative Henriquez." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And what's wrong? I double parked. What's going on? And she comes up to me and she says, "I just need to talk to you." I said, "Okay. You realize remember you gave a speech at Mitchell Elementary?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And the way that it happened, the week that my father passed, we had different things set up, different speaking engagements, whatever. And I had a speaking engagement that Friday at Mitchell Elementary. And my staff, they didn't really give me the full story, called me and they said, "Well, you're going to do the speaking thing Friday." They called me, "Are you sure you're going to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I probably just need to, it'll probably be good for me and this and that." And I thought I would just go, and it was a breakfast deal, and I'd kind of give a legislative update, it was all the time, and things like that. Not really finding out and sort of being distracted, all of the details. So I get there, and the lady the principal came up, and some other folks, "Thanks so much for being here. It's great that you're willing to do this." I'm like, "No problem." And it's a really special day for us. It's the Father's breakfast. And I was like, "Whoa, Father's breakfast." And then everything went out the window. And I'll be honest with you, I was on autopilot, a lot like I am right now. And I just sort of spoke from my heart and talked about my father and talked about my parents and thinking my dad. being, you talk about mentors and heroes. And I don't remember everything I said that day, but it was cathartic, I know that. And didn't think anything else of it. Well, the lady says, well, remember when you spoke that day? I said, yes. She said, well, that day, my husband was in the crowd, and he came home and he hugged me and he told me that he was going to recommit himself to our marriage and to being a better father because of what you said that day. And this has been the best 2 years of our marriage. I think we're going to turn the corner. And I thought to myself, goodness gracious, you can pass all kinds of legislation. You can be a great public servant, you make a difference in people's lives, but without even knowing you're doing it. And to be honest with you, it was my dad. And so I just hope that people understand that this is bigger than just running for office. I love to win. I tell my players, it's how they keep score. You know? And I hope to win again 4 years from now, based on my performance. But more important than that, I hope that I can continue to be a positive influence in this community. I'm far from perfect, but I hope that you'll stick with me. And if I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm right, you don't have to let me know, because I'll probably tell you it was you did it. And let's just keep this thing going. I appreciate each and every one from the bottom of my heart. I love you, and Mom and Dad, we did okay.